Hey there guys, and welcome back. My name is Robbie, and today we're going to be talking about FPV. More specifically, how to improve your FPV experience. Today I'm going to be sharing 5 tips on how to improve your FPV experience. The first of these tips is to move away from the linearly polarized antenna or rubber duck antenna that you were given with your VTX and your goggles, and moving to something more high quality, such as a circularly polarized antenna. Now essentially what a circularly polarized antenna does is it sends a signal out in sort of a spiral, and what that's great for is if that signal that went out reflects off a surface, it reverses the polarization, which means that it won't affect the receiver as much as the signal that came from your FPV, VTX. Now this is great because in your goggles on your screen you won't get 2 images that are almost like overlapping, and it gets very confusing. So you get a much higher quality FPV experience. And if there were one tip that I would give to anybody out there, it would be to move to a circularly polarized antenna. Now my second tip is to make sure that all of your connectors on your FPV are snug and tight. You don't want a connector falling out in flight, because then you'll lose visual or control of your quadcopter. So you just want to make sure that they're all snug, and check everyone after every flight. And sometimes if you have a connector such as this one on the back here that just keeps wanting to fall out, what you can do is just take a little bit of hot glue, drop it on there, put your connector in, and let it dry. And that should give you a great strong connection that it hopefully won't fall out in the future. Now on to tip 3. This tip is more of a subjective tip, but it's still a really good tip that I find is very important. And this is a tip that I think a lot of people would benefit from this tip. So, each component has a specified voltage range. Now, I would never run it on the minimum or the maximum voltage of that component. You always want to find the middle. That way, if your voltage fluctuates just a little bit, you're still safe and you have almost like a cushion around your voltage. However, if you were using the minimum or the maximum voltages, if that voltage fluctuates a little bit, you could just not have enough voltage to power your component, or you could fry your component, neither of which are good. So in this case, I'm powering my VTX and my camera off of 12 volts. This means that it's right in the center, and if it fluctuates just a little bit, I have a cushion or a safe zone around there. So you always want to find a voltage that's in the middle of the range of voltages. That way you don't fry your camera or your VTX, or you don't have enough voltage to power it. Now on to my 4th tip, and this is reducing vibrations in your quadcopter. Now there are 2 main ways to approach this. The one that I suggest, it is a little bit harder, but it really is just the best way to approach this issue, and that is by tuning your PIDs. If you have a good tuned PID setup, that means that you won't have any vibrations or very little on your quadcopter, and that means you can hard mount your camera directly to your frame because you won't be having any vibrations. And this is also the best because you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're not having any vibrations on your camera, and you're having a quadcopter that just handles much better and is more responsive, which is always good. But another way to approach this is by vibration mounting your camera. And by doing that, you just put some foam underneath your camera, and basically that foam is just absorbing all of the vibrations while your camera just sits still. But I would really suggest that you try to tune your PIDs as best as possible, and then if you need to be, you can just vibration dampen your camera. But obviously if you vibration dampen your camera, the camera is not going to be as strong, so in a crash you may break off your camera. So try and tune your PIDs as best as possible, and then resort to vibration dampening your camera. Now my final tip, my 5th tip, is to reduce the amount of electrical noise you send to each component. Now to reduce the electrical noise, you can either use a voltage regulator, which has built-in capacitors, or a standalone capacitor. Now for weight purposes, a capacitor is great because it just weighs very little, but it does the job perfectly. So what I have done here is, according to the specifications of my VTX, I don't need a voltage regulator or a capacitor because it has all of that built in, which is really cool. But I was kind of skeptical about this, so I took it for a flight, and I was actually really surprised. It performed really well. I didn't have any white or black bars that are not to be confused with static, because they're very different. These are just solid white or black bars that you get on your FPV screen. And and that are super annoying. But I wasn't getting any of those, and I was super surprised. So what's also really cool about this VTX is I can power my camera off of 12 volts that from here that is cleaned out, so it has no noise on it. So both my VTX and my camera are being powered off of the same source that is perfectly clean and has no noise. So it's really cool. I haven't been getting any of those white or black bars on my screen. So I've been getting a really good FPV experience with this FPV setup. So hopefully you guys can learn from some of these tips if you don't know a lot of these already, and just apply them to your quadcopters, and I think you'll get a lot better FPV experience. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Have fun flying. Catch you guys later. See ya.